Good morning and welcome. My name is Layla Finucane, and I just, to see everybody here today is quite a thing after what we've all been through. So I just want to say welcome here. Welcome to Spring Flats. It's our redevelopment here in Petworth. I want to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to the mayor, the deputy mayor, for victory as the affordable housing development arm of the Catholic Archdiocese for over 40 years. This is a wonderful opportunity to express our ongoing message. Affordable housing needs to be prioritized now and always. Delivering on that message would not be possible without the incredible support of the Archdiocese and the mayor. And we are appreciative that the mayor has chosen to address housing equity as a critical piece of infrastructure. The difference this will make for the district in terms of ensuring equitable development and a thriving community is priceless. This development is an example of this. Spring Flats, it's going to be 185 new units of housing on the site where we had the former Hebrew Home for the Aged and the Paul Robeson School. The new development will have 88 units for seniors, affordable units. That's great for our seniors here in Ward 4 and adjacent Ward 1. It will have 87 units of family housing, rental new construction, and those will be 64% affordable and 36% will be market rate, but targeted towards working class family, workforce housing. It'll be 120% of AMI. The overall development will also have 10 units of townhomes, townhome-style homeownership. We're really excited about this, and we're looking forward to seeing homeownership, new construction rental, and senior housing here in the district, Ward 4, Ward 1, right next door. And it really wouldn't have been possible without the community, the ANCs, the Petworth Action Committee. All these different groups were so supportive and vested in this, showing that the district really, the people of the district care about affordable housing as much as we, the housers, do. I want to start now, or just turn it over to Mayor Bowser and really welcome her and thank her again for her incredible leadership.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Spring Flats and welcome to a victory for affordable housing. I want to thank Layla for that introduction, and you may remember that Layla was the director of DHCD at one point, so we want to welcome her to a full circle moment in Ward 4. I recall a few pretty good projects that we were able to do together then, and another fantastic project that she is helping to lead now. So let's give Layla a big round of applause. I want to welcome the council members. Anita Bonds, at-large council member for housing. So give Anita Bonds a big round of applause. Our host council member, Janice Lewis-George for Ward 4. Let's give her a big round of applause. Brianne Nadeau, our adjacent council member, like literally adjacent council member for Ward 1. Give Brianne Nadeau a big round of applause as well. You're going to hear from a few members of my team, but you'll have to endure a little reminiscing. I go a long way back with this parcel. There are probably some neighbors here that go even further back and remember just how important it was to Petworth neighbors that the history and the spirit of this building was relived in a development. I've had the great opportunity over the last 14 years to tell the story of how Petworth neighbors led changes in Petworth, investments at the Petworth Metro, creation of new recreation and school facilities, have been behind making sure our streets are safer and people have opportunity. And they feel very proud of that. And 1125 Spring Road is an embodiment of that project. As I was becoming mayor, we were putting the final I's dotting them and crossing the T's to make sure that we could be at this point today. So today, with my team at DMPED, you're going to hear from the Deputy Mayor, Sarosh Adpatwala, the Director of DMPED Real Estate, as well as Polly Donaldson, the Director of DHCD, who have been really singly focused on our goals to build more affordable housing in D.C. This project was one of our RFP projects where we engaged the community before issuing the RFP to make sure that everything the community wanted was included. And I have got to say thank you to ANC 4C, past members, and I'm sure there are some, perhaps, I know there have been a lot of changes. There's some current members involved in the project as well as ANC 1A, right? 1A and Kent Base, I see here. So thank you as well. And all of the commissioners, if you're here, raise your hand so we can give them a big round of applause. Let's give them a big round of applause. I also have something, if you can imagine, you heard Layla already talk about how we will have senior housing. We will have home ownership opportunities, and we will have a mix of incomes able to rent and buy in this development. And that's really our goal for affordable housing across the District of Columbia, to make sure people with a spectrum of incomes can stay in the neighborhoods that they've called home and continue to promote the diversity and history of beautiful neighborhoods like Petworth. But today, I'm also going to talk to you about how we continue to get to our affordable housing goals. Since I became mayor, it has been my focus that we are going to invest more in the Housing Production Trust Fund. When I became mayor, we were putting in about $50 million. It was tied to a tax, and that number went up and down. But what all of the affordable housing community told me then, and continue to tell me, right, I see you laughing, we need some consistency, Bowser. We need to know what we're going to get from year to year. If the city will do that, then we will amp up our capabilities so when those dollars become available, they're not sitting there, but we're actually building housing. Does that sound familiar? And so there's a good reason that we focused on doing exactly that. I promised then that we would do $100 million each and every year, no matter what, in the Housing Production Trust Fund. And I've been able to do that for 6 years in a row, and we're very proud of that. So, you know, we can add that up since 2015, what that means, $100 million a year. And some of those years it was tougher than others, like last year, when we had to redo our budget in about 2 weeks and had to make sure that we were still hitting our goals. But in the second year, in the first year of my second term, we set a bigger goal. We set a goal to build 36,000 new homes by 2025. I told my team, you got to set a goal. If you don't set a goal, guess what? You won't hit it. And so we set the goal of 36,000 new homes. And we were more specific because we were the first in the country to set a neighborhood by neighborhood goal. And so that was a goal in Ward 8 in Congress Heights. That's a goal in Ward 3 in Tinleytown. And that's a goal right here in the middle in Ward 4 in Petworth. So we have to say that we need affordable homes in every part of our city. Are you with me on that? So we've been able to invest $600 million in our Housing Production Trust Fund, helping us to produce or preserve 10,000 units since 2015. And just since January of 2019, we've added 14,600 new homes, and we'll soon add the 185 right here at Spring Flats, the first tranche this fall and the final tranche next year. But there's more to do. which is exactly what we're going to do in this budget. So Councilmember Bonds knows well, as much as we've done, we still have a long list of worthy projects that need to get done. And the only thing that's standing in the way, because our development community, a private community, nonprofit community, has done what we've asked. They've been ready with great projects when the dollars are ready. So now we have to do what we need to do to make sure that those ideas and those projects become homes for DC residents. That's why today I want to let you know that in the budget that I send to the council at the end of the week, it's not going to be $100 million for HPTF. It's not going to be $200 million. It's not going to be $300 million. We'll be able to invest $400 million in the Housing Production Trust Fund. And that will bring our total investment since 2015, when you've given me the honor of being your mayor, to $1 billion in the Housing Production Trust Fund. And this new investment will allow us to produce 3,000 more affordable homes. And so on top of this, we will, I promise you, be very intentional about the types of housing that will come with these investments. We know, especially as the median income has gone up in our city, not all affordable housing is created equally. And so my budget will include enough local rental supplement program vouchers to ensure that 50% of the homes produced using the FY22 trust fund dollars are for residents making between 0 and 30% of the median family income. And we know that's a big deal. You know, affordable housing is my baby. And as I look around, I'm so grateful for the creativity that everybody has poured into us reaching our goals. I'm able to make this statement today with confidence because of the way everybody around has delivered. And when we go to these projects, we're proud of them, aren't we? We can tell people around the country, this is what affordable housing looks like. And I know that you're going to join me in also making sure that people know when we talk about infrastructure, that is what affordable housing is. It is public infrastructure. And we have been so honored that the council has stepped up with us with these investments, protected them. Listen, we know how budgeting is. There are a lot of worthy projects and a lot of needs across the city, but we have to make sure that we're investing in the building blocks that are going to have a healthier community, a smarter community, a more equitable community, and that's what this investment will do. So with that, I'm going to introduce the at-large council member for housing, Council Member Anita Bonds. Like that?
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to follow the newest mayor for life. Okay? Indeed, you can clap for that, because that's what it takes in order to deliver for our outstanding community. And for all of the residents, we thank you. And congratulations to the mayor for putting forth this very important number. I must say, in all of what my letter of request to the mayor contained, it had about 600 million, but it was in different buckets. So I say to my colleagues, we might get there yet. And no one disputes the need. We are in a bubble, urban area where the cost of living soars. I think the pandemic has shown that to us more than anything else. And now we're talking about investment properties I know I'm constantly been asked to, are you going to sell your house? I mean, and it's not, listen, it was, mail and telephone calls, but now they send me a text, okay? And I know it's happening to many homeowners. And the answer is no, no, no. And I really want to have a chat with them and to talk about the District of Columbia and the people who live here and how, this is absurd, because where do I go if I sell my house? And that's the dilemma that most homeowners are faced with. Where do you go if you want to stay in the city? This is a very precious announcement. I love that we are talking about Spring Flats, because we're talking about opportunities especially focused on our seniors and our seniors that want to downsize and be in an environment where they can be social and have the amenities like grocery stores close by. And so this is a good project, and it's a terrific project, and I know my colleague Ms. George is going to talk about that in a minute. And it's a good project, a special project, because it's talking about individuals at 0 to 30% AMI. And that's of 126,000, which is our regional amount. And so it does provide opportunities for those that are most in need. And that's really our goal. We know that on the fringe, other people have an opportunity to participate, but the goal of our government is to make sure that we have opportunities for those that I sometimes would say are the kind of forgotten. They're not thought about. They're not usually on the internet. You might reach them if you knock on the door, but they don't always answer the door. But they watch cable like my mom, okay? They're watching cable, that is a medium, and they know everything that's going on. They also watch the local channels. But I've gone on enough, and I just really wanted to thank the mayor for this wonderful announcement. And I see some special friends in the audience that also are just overjoyed. And if they want to come out and do a happy dance, we'll watch. We will watch. I know. And I see Steve back there, and I'm sure, there are a few others. So thank you very much, Mayor. And the council looks forward to working with you. And I have just discarded my talking points. But thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Fantastic.
Okay, now I'm going to invite Deputy Mayor Falchicchio, who will be followed by Director Donaldson, and I also we'll also hear from our ward council members.
Well, good morning, everyone. So what do you really say after the mayor tells you about the commitment? Hallelujah? Okay, I like that. So Mayor Bowser always reminds me to say my pleases and thank yous. So I'm going to do that today. I'm going to use that time. But before I get to that, I want to talk to you about a few numbers. So as the mayor said, each year she committed to put $100 million into the Housing Production Trust Fund, right? So we all thought it would take the mayor 10 years to get to $1 billion, right? And we've done it in just over 6. That deserves a round of applause. We also know that the mayor made us the first in the nation, as she mentioned, to have a goal of 36,000 new units of housing by 2025, 12,000 of them affordable across all 8 wards of the city. That makes us the first in the nation to have affordable housing goals by neighborhood. And let me tell you where we are with that. So the goal of 36,000 by 2025, and remember, we've got 7 years to do this, we have created 16,271 units of housing since January of 2019. That means we're 45% of the goal. All right? Now I'm going to throw this one out for you, too. For the 12,000 units of affordable housing, we've actually created 2,558 since January 2019. Now, I see some of you doing the math. Steve's clapping, but I see others doing the math. That means we're at 21% of that goal, right? That's good, But this investment today is what propels us to make sure that we reach that goal. So let's make sure, part of my pleas is to the council members who are here, we need your help. We need your help to make sure that the Housing Production Trust Fund, that the LRSP, and Councilmember Bonds, if you want to, go up, you can, that they survive the budget process, right? Because the mayor will present the budget on Thursday. So one of my pleas is to the council to please make sure that this gets through. Are you with me on that? Great. I see them applauding mostly. Okay, that's good. And then also, I wanted to say thank yous. So one, thank you to the residents of Ward 4 and Ward 1 for opening their arms to Spring Flats. DEMPED had the opportunity. Thank you, Mayor. DEMPED had the opportunity to do an Our RFP for this project. And what Our RFP does is it brings the community together on the front end to actually build the RFP by which we solicit. And what the community asked for here was an emphasis on affordable housing. So give the community a round of applause for that. So as deputy mayor, I get to serve with some great team members, and I want to say some thank yous. Bear with me because there are a lot. But first up, the housing agency partners. So this is a group in the DEMPED cluster and beyond that come together. We come together at the first Friday of each month. So if Polly's not answering your calls on that Friday in the morning, it's because we're gathered as the housing agency partners. And we do that with DEMPED, with DHCD, OP, DC Housing Authority, DC Housing Finance Agency. I know there are some team members. Let's have them raise their hands and have a round of applause for each of those members. We also have some extended family. We've got the DEMWA cluster, the Deputy Mayor for Operations and Infrastructure, DCRA, DDOT, and DOE, and beyond. So let's give them a round of applause as well. Ernest is here if you have any permit questions. And then, of course, we don't as government do this alone. The mayor alluded to that our housing providers have really stepped up. So it is one thing for the mayor to say that we want to invest $100 million into our residents. But we do that by working with housing providers, both nonprofit and for-profit, all with the same goal of creating decent, safe, affordable housing for our residents. And so I want to thank Steve and CNHED. I want to thank the Washington Interfaith Network. I want to thank the African-American real estate professionals. And I also want to thank the realtors, all of who have representatives here today. So let's give them a round of applause. And then, of course, I want to close out before I bring up Director Donaldson with just why we do this. So there was a study that the CFO and Howard University did together, and it's found that between 2000 and 2018, that the district created about 40,000 units of housing. Okay, so from 2000 to 2018, 40,000 units of housing. And what that meant was that for those who live here, if that housing hadn't been created, rent would have been 5.8% higher for our residents, right? And that's all of our residents. So when Mayor Bowser said in January 2019 that we need to build 36,000 new units of housing by 2025, 12,000 of which need to be affordable across all 8 wards, that meant that we were going to try to do that again. But we were going to try to do as many units, almost as many units, in less than half the time. And we're on our way to do that today. And if we're successful in doing that, the same study from the CFO and Howard University found that rents, again, would be 5.5% lower because of this work. So when we think about all of the housing production that we have to do, it's not just for the people who live here at Spring Flats, but it's for all of our residents in all 8 wards. So with that, I want to bring one of our leaders on the team who helps us each and every day make sure that we're going to hit this goal. And that's Polly Donaldson, the Director of the Housing and Community Development. Yeah. I got caught up. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to serve. And council members, I very much look forward to my budget oversight hearing, and I'll be there, and you can get a preview of what I'm going to say from our remarks here today. For those of you who are either at DHCD or have known me since I took office there in January 2015, you know that I really insisted on the fact that we were going to have to do more with more, because we knew of Mayor Bowser's commitment and we knew that she was going to fight to do that. Well, now we have to do even more with more, and that is where I can tell you the team at DHCD is ready to work with each and every one of you, but on the development side, the housing provider side, other agencies. We know that this is really the moment when we can make that absolutely giant step with $1 billion and with goals that we know we can reach. And so together, I look forward to working with you. But even more importantly, this is going to help us right now today clear the clog in our pipeline. That's meaning that there are 8 projects with about $92 million in HBTF that are stuck because we did not have the resources to be able to make that forward commitment. And to be able to select them for further underwriting and such. So what is that going to be? 460 net new units will be added to our totals for the 12,000, and then an additional 175 units will be preserved. So thank you. That is what this announcement means today, Mayor. Thank you. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't thank the DHCD team. I do want to mention, particularly for Spring Flats, this was a complicated project. Victory Housing, Layla, you really deserve a lot of credit for getting this to the closing finish line and for the construction. I want to thank Laverne Scott, Michael McMiller, and our Deputy DFD Finance Managers, Erin Wilson and Reshma Hollow. Let's thank them, the DHCD team. Thank you. Now, the Deputy Mayor talked about our affordable housing goals. What does that actually mean in practice? Well, let me tell you, with Spring Flats, what that means, we're adding 185 units of affordable housing to the Rock Creek East planning area. That means we know by 2025 we had set a goal of 1,580 new units of affordable housing. We already had 1,160 in the pipeline. So now, with this additional 185, we're only 340 units short. These goals are achievable. We can do this. So we're only one big project away from reaching that goal. I know that there's some ideas out there. I'm going to be reaching out to the development community because part of what I need to make sure we communicate to residents of the district, to the council, to all of our stakeholders and advocates is that these resources plus the LRSP are going to make the difference in what we need to do to achieve our affordable housing goals. And we need to know that that's real money. There are real projects. There's real pipeline there. So when I reach out and ask for some information, I know that you will respond, and I really look forward to it. Thank you all again. And now I'm very, very pleased to introduce the Ward 4 Council member, Janice Lewis-George, who will share some of her thoughts on this wonderful project. Council member.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here in the wonderful Petworth neighborhood of Ward 4 and at the intersection, literally the intersection of Ward 4 and Ward 1 where we come and meet. This is amazing. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. And I want to thank Mayor Bowser because this is how it's done. And what I love about this project are a few things. One, I love that it has an emphasis on families. Ward 4 is a huge family community, and we love our families. And to the fact that you took into account so many families have the ability to live here and sustain here and build their families here. And I love that part. The other thing I love about this project is that it involves our seniors, right? Our seniors were a forethought, not an afterthought. And that is so important. What do we say? We had 88 units for our seniors. Amazing. And that's what we want to see moving forward, that our seniors continue to be a forethought. Another point that I really love about this project is that it's sustainable. It's a sustainable project. Am I right? This is a LEED Gold certificate LEED project. Let's talk about sustainability here and environmental impacts. This project takes that into account. In addition to being sustainable, it's near transit. I know many people, I love the fact that this is affordable housing near transit. And that's something so important that we have to emphasize. And so I really appreciate how close it is and sustainable it is to our Petworth neighborhood and many of our amazing bus stops. The one thing I want to emphasize that I also love is that it takes into account something that's very real here, right? What does affordable mean, and what does affordable housing mean for some of us? We know here in the district that the average median income for Black families is significantly different than that for white families, right? Black families in the district, average median income is $46K, right? $46,000, a significant difference. And so when we talk about affordable housing, we have to consider that 0 to 30% AMI, and we have to consider Black families and the history of displacement and making sure people can call this place home. And so I truly appreciate the affordability part of this project and who affordability means and what that's for. The last part of this I really want to emphasize is that this is a project that took into account community input and community input from various ways, right? We saw our ANC commissioners dig deep, ANC commissioners past and present. So I want to take a moment and to just thank our ANC commissioners who really garnered the community. And I want to thank our community especially because it takes community stepping up and saying, we want affordable housing. Oftentimes we hear communities say we support affordable housing, but then when it comes to the type of affordable housing, we start to see a difference there. But this community actually dug deep and said we are true to our word, and we say affordable, we mean it. So I want to thank the Petworth community, including the ANC commissioners, for digging deep and staying true to your words and to your values and welcoming everyone in our community. Thank you so much. And so this is what we want to see from projects moving forward. Let's have more spring flats here in Ward 4. We want more of this housing that prioritizes families, housing that prioritizes seniors, housing that takes into account sustainability, energy, LEED certified projects, housing that's close to transit and bus stops, and housing that prioritizes and housing developers who prioritize community input, and not just something where they just hear from the community, but they take what the community has said and they put it into a project. And that's real value. So Mayor Bowser, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank DMPED and everyone who invested. This is how you do it. This is how it's done. And Ward 4 is so proud to have this here. Ward 4 proud, Ward 4 strong, and a Ward 4 where all of us in our community can live together. Thank you. And now who's next? Brienne? Oh, okay. I will, you go ahead and introduce Brienne.
I had to come up and introduce Councilmember Nadeau. Thank you, Councilmember George, and we certainly take that challenge and know that that's how we approach all of our projects. How can we hit our goals, make neighborhoods better, and take care of our residents? And I have to say that Councilmember Nadeau has been very committed to leading on housing issues, homeless issues, and sometimes it's not easy to take that leadership role, but at the end of the day, we know that we get those good projects that come out of it. And I asked my team to just correct me on some of these things. Our RFP project, this wasn't the first. I think the first was Cromell School. There's no housing at Cromell School right now. And in about a few months, there's going to be housing here. And that's because of leadership. And so we want to tee up good projects, and we want leadership, like the leadership that Councilmember Nadeau displayed to get those projects done. Brienne Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Wow. 400 million plus the LRSP. Thanks to the whole team. And I want to thank also, I know Commissioner Bass is still here with us. He and all of the members of ANC 1A and 4C have worked so hard on this project over the years. I want to acknowledge our Housing Production Trust Fund Board member, Lynn French from Ward 1, who's joined us today, and Victory Housing, who is a great partner all across the city, but I know how hard they work in Ward 1 in particular. Wow, to stand here in front of this site, almost finished. I remember when we all packed into the gym in the rec center years ago. Councilmember Bowser at the time was the Democratic nominee for mayor, and I was the Democratic nominee for Ward 1. And we knew we were in it when we walked into that room because there were a lot of feelings about what should go here. And those feelings were channeled into community engagement and partnership and really hard work. Again, so much hard work by that ANC and our partners at DMPED. And it is a tremendous thing to be here now. I remember back in 2015 when we all came into office, Mayor Bowser called me and she said, we're going to make some changes in Ward 1 because we want to get a little bit more housing out of some deals that were pending at the end of the last term. And so she went back to the table and renegotiated Grimkey and 965 Florida Avenue and got even a little bit more affordable housing on those sites. And that's what she does. She goes back and she gets a better deal, right? And so I'm really, really proud to have been here for these projects, to have been able to co-sign on them, to be able to support them, to really push with her. You know, we've got a really big project just over in the border of Ward 1 called Park Morton. Any of you don't know about Park Morton, then wake up, because this is a project that's been going on since probably, well, I won't say how long we've been doing it, but we're going to get that done. But you know, when we first proposed the site for Park Morton, some of the residents over there said, "No, don't put more families over here by us. Just why don't you put them over here on Spring Road?" And you know what we said? All of the above is what we need. We need more housing for families on Spring Road. We need it on Columbia Road. We need it on Morton Street. We need it all around the District of Columbia. It's not an either or, it's an all of the above, and that is what we are doing together as a government, and that is what we need to keep doing. Truly, truly thrilled to hear that this funding commitment takes into consideration the needs of lower income families by matching that LRSP funding, because that has been something that we've needed to take on for years. So Mayor Bowser, I commend you. Thank you for that. You know, the council just finished our work on the comprehensive plan. Big sigh of relief, let me tell you. Okay? Because this thing's been in the works for years, and we got another one coming up in 5. Okay? So everyone take a deep breath now, because this is the very short period of time when we are not working on the comprehensive plan, because we will be again. But for those of you who don't know, this is the blueprint of all we do in the District of Columbia. Not just what we build, but all that we do, okay? And I'm really proud of the work that we did to ensure that this version of the comprehensive plan will help prevent displacement, will help rectify some of the racist policies that have led to the segregation of this city that we have been living with for generations. And this version of the comp plan is going to make it easier to build more housing in more places across the District of Columbia, and that is what we needed to do in this comp plan. Some people told us to just chuck it. It's not right yet. Don't vote on it. Throw it out. It can't solve all the problems we've been trying to solve. Well, no one document can solve all the problems we've been trying to solve in this city, but this document is a better document for all the work that we did on it, and it is going to help us achieve these goals, and it is going to allow us to build more. When we were talking about the comp plan, one of my constituents came to me and said, you know, if you want to really build all this housing that you're saying you're doing here, and you're changing this and you're changing that, well, you're going to have to triple the amount of money in the comp plan. And I said, you know, I've been hearing some things about, triple the amount of money in the trust fund. I said, I've been hearing some things about that maybe happening, so you just stay tuned. So Mayor Bowser, thank you for more than tripling the amount of money in the trust fund. I appreciate the work that you're doing and the partnership that we have on ending homelessness. That is, you know, where my heart is. How do we end homelessness, ladies and gentlemen? We build housing for people, and that's what we're doing today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, so with that, we'll take some questions. I'll take some press questions, and we'll take some photos, and then we'll stick around if there's some more questions from the community. Okay, yes, sir.
Mayor Bowser, in the context of the budget, obviously we're coming off the pandemic. A lot of people feared possible cuts, and now you're making this announcement about way more money in the Housing Production Trust Fund than most people probably anticipated. Did the latest revenue estimates showing better than expected turnout make this possible?
Well, I would say our taxpayers have made it possible. D.C. residents and businesses who have hung in there, who have pivoted, who have kept their businesses afloat, have made it possible. Our government agencies, who have been very judicious over the last year, have also made it possible. Those agencies have also presented some very effective options for me and investments that we can make in the budget. So we're thrilled about our fiscal outlook. We're optimistic about our comeback, which is reflected in these in what I will present to the council.
Thank you. And then looking at the projects in the pipeline, it looks like about 6 of 9 of those or 6 of 8 of those are in Ward 7 and 8. Can you talk about that in the context of equity?
Sure. Let me ask Polly, who will know in some detail what's in the pipeline.
We have projects in, yes, Ward 5, 7, 8, and Ward 4. And it's a variety of different kinds of projects as well. These are projects that were proposed in the fall of 2019. Particularly the preservation project is one that is going to help current residents in housing in the Southern Hills apartment complex. That is Ward 8, but that is where there needs to be a renovation and an upgrading of the units in order to preserve the existing housing there for those residents. So it is a mix across wards. In Ward 5, it's on Hawaii Avenue. It's 70 net new units of affordable housing. In Ward 4, it's a smaller project with Mikasa. It is a rental preservation project for 44 units. And in Ward 4, we know we've got to preserve that smaller building housing stock. So it really is a mix of different kind of projects and such, and I think provides opportunity both for current residents of Ward 7 and 8 and also for those in Wards 4 and 5. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes. Stephanie? Mark?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I have an off-topic question since Michael asked about the project today. This is other public safety concerns that arose again this weekend regarding ATVs and illegal dirt bikes in the streets of the district. Seeing that the city does have a no-chase policy with the police department, and this is an ongoing issue that neighborhoods in the district have been dealing with over and over again, what can the city actually do to address that this year?
Well, we have found some success in going after the bikes and having people tell us where the illegal dirt bikes are, making sure that people understand when they see somebody riding one of these dirt bikes illegally that they can contact us with that information, and they may also, I think we're offering a reward as well.
A follow-up to that question. What do you say to those folks in the community who are saying that this is a part of DC culture? You know, guns down, bikes up. What do you say to those folks who are making that argument?
Well, I don't know why we would say that this is DC culture, because I see it all over the place. I see it in Maryland. I see it on the Beltway. Are they saying it's part of Maryland culture? And again, I also see that's where a lot of the dirt bikes are coming from.
And then two more off-topic questions for you, Mayor. I know you're a resident, also the leader of the city, but also a resident, so you have two stakes in this question. There's a debate over Beach Drive, whether to close it permanently. Your thoughts on that? Do you feel that the community should close it permanently to traffic?
I am a resident, and I feel a little conflicted in what I'm about to say, because I'm a big user of Beach Drive, so I'm not going to say anything right now. I will say this, that I want to hear from some folks. It's a big change. You may know that I asked the Department of the Interior to close it for the pandemic, in addition to some other locations, at another location at Anacostia Park, to close it to vehicle travel. And I have to give credit where it's due. This was during the Trump administration. The Interior Secretary came out with me, did a tour, talked to his staff. He actually talked the staff out of telling us no. So I'm going to give them credit for that. And we have to be thoughtful about how we move forward. I think it leads to a larger statement that we're going to make about public space, ours and the federal public space. The pandemic has taught us that we need more of it for people to just enjoy the city.
One more, if you don't mind. Sorry. Any response or concerns to the National Guards and to their deployment at the Capitol?
I think that I've said before that we've had a number of conversations with General Honore, who did the study for the United States Capitol. We support a lot of what was in that study. We're also actively engaged in a larger conversation about coordination among federal parties in the protection of federal facilities, including the Capitol. So we'll be actively participating with that. So I am pleased to see our National Guardsmen start to cycle off, and we'll be even more pleased to see some of the other harder parts of the perimeter removed or softened as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Bowser, 2 off-topic questions. Stephanie's question reminded me about the conversation around, I think, Ohio Drive and the Tidal Basin area where recently 2 pedestrians were struck and killed. And at that point, you had mentioned trying to do some traffic calming or some talks with the feds about that area, reducing traffic down there. Have those talks gone anywhere? Can you update us on that at all?
I actually haven't had that conversation with Park Service yet. We will have an upcoming meeting with leadership, with interior leadership, where we'll have some of those conversations.
Could I ask about COVID-19 guidance released by OSSI about students and I guess teachers, if they travel outside of Maryland, D.C. or Virginia, they're required to not come to school if they're not fully vaccinated, not come to school for 10 days. I'm just wondering, are those the only restrictions on travel? You've stopped the other restrictions for everyone else traveling, right, as far as quarantining, coming back. So why is that restriction in place simply for D.C. public schools?
For unvaccinated people? Well, I think the travel, and I don't have it right in front of me, Mark, so I don't want to misspeak, but I think the travel guidance for unvaccinated people is the same across the board.
Traveling outside of D.C., Maryland, and Virginia for unvaccinated people still requires people to quarantine when they come back?
Let me have it in front of me. I need to have the document in front of me. I don't want to speak to it without looking at it. Yes.
Hi. I have 2 COVID-related questions.
Okay.
The first one is about testing sites. The testing numbers are continuing to go down. Do you have any updates on possibly winding down some of the public testing sites across the city?
We will wind down testing sites over the course of the summer, and I'll ask, I think we announced how those would be going, but they will wind down over the course of the summer. Some will come off in June, some will come off in July.
And then in terms of the vaccine walk-up sites, how are those looking in terms of demand? Would there be any possible change in hours or scheduling depending on what demand looks like for those?
Of course. So DC Health monitors those closely. We're very pleased. It's amazing. A few weeks and a lot more vaccine, and a lot of people have been vaccinated, but not enough. So we still want people to get out and get their vaccine. I'm grateful to the volunteers who came out this weekend. I had the numbers of doors knocked. I think it was over 5,000 contacts made in just a few hours on Saturday, so that's very helpful. So we need people to go out and get vaccinated. We opened on Friday. I haven't gotten a lot of reports over the different venues and participation at different activities, but I'll get that today. And what's important to know is as things open, your exposure, if you're unvaccinated, is just so much more. So you'll be going out more. People will be going back to their offices. People will be riding public transportation. So an opened world is for an unvaccinated person is giving you every incentive that you need to go and get vaccinated. We want to continue to ask people if they have questions, they need more information, to go to coronavirus.dc.gov, and we have posted a lot of information about the vaccines online.
Will the sites stay open at the level they're at until we get to a higher percentage of residents vaccinated?
No, we will evaluate that, and as long as the resources warrant, we will keep them up.
Tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's death. I was wondering if you have any plans on meeting the family, which will be in town tomorrow, or any plans to go to Black Lives Matter Plaza as well.
I don't have any plans to meet the family, and we, of course, continue to say that his George Floyd's life will be honored when the Congress moves on the Justice and Policing Act. So we are very focused, and we all should be on making sure that there is real action.
And just one follow-up to Stephanie's question. Have you had any indication when the hardened posture around the Capitol may be, the fencing may be coming down?
We have not. Okay, with that, any community questions?
One more?
Oh, yes, okay.
Sorry, one more. Just to take it back to the Housing Production Trust Fund for a second, you and the Deputy Mayor both talked about how at this point, I believe the number was that we're about 20% to the affordable housing goal, but we also know that we're not quite there in all neighborhoods, and I believe Rock Creek West is particularly one where I don't think we're any of the way toward that goal. So I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit about whether there's a plan to make sure that some of the funding that's being announced today moves toward projects that help get affordable housing into those neighborhoods that haven't quite met those goals yet.
Sure. So we need projects. That's where it starts. And we don't make the projects. Sometimes we give nudges. We spend a lot of time on the comprehensive plan. We know that there are some opportunities. And the other thing that we have to sensitize people to, sometimes the investment in a higher cost area for the same unit is more. All right. So people have to be willing to have the public get involved in an affordable housing project that costs more. And so there are all of those intricacies. So we will, part of the plan, I think the council has us also doing small area plans for every place. So that is not that easy. All at simultaneously. Is that out? Oh, you could take it out, I bet. Okay. I've been involved with a lot of small area plans, so maybe we have to come up with the express small area plan. And I say that, and I'm taking it very seriously. It's because small area planning is. I've been involved in a lot of them. We get a lot of great information from them, but we don't want them to become the thing that holds up how we move forward with housing. So we will work with OP on a process to help us get there. All right, we're going to take a picture, and I'll stick around if the community has any questions for me.
We have community members come on up, and then we'll have our housing providers and our housing agencies. So really, everybody, come on up.